So forget any ideas you've got about lost cities, exotic travel, and digging up the world. You do not follow maps to buried treasure. An X never, ever marks the spot. 70% of all archaeology is done in the library. Research, reading. Does anyone know what that's from?
Bad dates.
Hey, very good, very good. Look, same trilogy, but I believe...
One or two?
Three.
Three, really?
Three. That was you were one. I was three. Now, Bandit isn't actually in this episode, is he?
No, he's not.
No, but it's about a library, and Bandit's an archaeologist, and that was enough for me to. Is Marty still trying to get it?
Judging from the expression on his face, I was more saying maybe
Frank
you want
got it.
Maybe you want to introduce, who else is on the show.
Is it National Treasure?
Oh no!
Sorry, of course. Then it must be Indiana Jones.
Hey,
Your first clue was that it was me doing it.
That is probably all I needed.
Oh man, I don't care though. National Treasure is a good time as well.
Yeah, but
the second one's pretty silly.
It's still indie light.
The second one's so dumb, but the first one, I don't know, it's very lame. But you give me clues and booby traps, I'm in. I am in.
It goes Indiana Jones trilogy, and yes, a trilogy because there's only 3. The Lara Croft movies, and then maybe National Treasure.
I mean, I'm not saying that if somebody else didn't mention National Treasure, I would even put it in the same. Nothing touches.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make that absolutely clear.
So welcome to our new podcast, Archaeology Today, as portrayed on film.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I should actually say what we're doing. Man, guys, Indiana Jones is so good. It's the best thing in my life. But another really good thing in my life is that I regularly get together and talk about the Australian children's television program Bluey with these two friends of mine. Frank, how are you?
I'm very good, mate. After that intro, how could I not be?
Yeah. Let's see how cut down that gets. Marty, how are you?
Doing well.
That's nice.
I always love hearing how much Brendan loves Indiana Jones.
And I assume that everybody loves hearing that as well.
Oh, yeah. Almost constantly, Brendan.
That's why I got into this. Bluey's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm on a Bluey podcast to talk about Indiana Jones.
For the purposes of making sure you don't rant, yes, everyone loves Indiana Jones exactly the same as you do.
That.
Exactly the same amount, no more and no less. If we tried to claim that other people like it more, that would also result in ranting.
Yes, that's right. It's not a competition unless you're making it one in which I win.
This episode of the Hammer One Project is called the Bluey Decimal System.
So library, yeah?
In the mother of all tenuous links, a one small quote that has nothing to do with the plot of a movie that I would die for uses the word library. So I decided to open with that because
this episode of Bluey is called Library. So this episode comes to us deep into Season 2. Season 2, Episode 30 is what we're looking at. And I won't say it's not an adventure. I wouldn't put it as an Indiana Jones class, but there certainly is a villain who, comes to the side of good eventually.
Mm-hmm. Is that Uncle Stripe? Okay, bare bones of this one, it's really just a morality tale about the evils of solipsism. Mm-hmm. So that's the philosophical preposition that you are the only person that exists.
I was going to say.
And everything else is just a figment of your imagination set up for you to enjoy and interact with. But no, of course, this is an episode about Muffin coming over to play with the girls. Uncle Stripe's just slipping in that she might actually be the most important person or most important child in the world, and just what happens when you end up trying to play libraries, which turns out to be a place with a lot of rules that you don't have to follow when you're the special person.
So I have to jump in. When Ali saw this episode and I told her we were doing this on the show, she goes, "You do realize that's the show that pretty much defines us as parents?" And I went, please explain. She goes, 1, you have a tendency to run orange lights in the car. 2, that's exactly what we would tell Jack. You're the most special person in the world. And then 3, we'd have to be the corrective parents at the end going, actually, you're not. You're causing problems by us telling you that, but we still love you. Okay, sure. That you've just summed up our parenting style in a single 7-minute episode.
You're still figuring it out. Yeah, you're allowed some leniency.
One of the things that stands out the most for me, and it comes back to that idea of like, once again, different types of parenting or like different types of parents.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about it in Octopus and just like we have a different presentation. And I think for me, it's for real life sort of experience, because we've all had friends or you see people at the park or at the shops.
Absolutely.
These are parents who they've got different expectations around what their kids should be interacting with. The thing that gets me is just the obnoxious toy, the bike thing.
Isn't it such a muffin
It's
toy?
Such a muffin toy. And just what happens when different families come together, even if it's like cousins or something like that.
Yeah,
'cause, you know,
especially if it's family.
Yeah.
If you're in this together forever, and Chili's eyes
yes.
in this episode, they're
Speak volumes.
Man.
You said even among family, you got to watch the communication of your observations of different styles, especially in a family situation.
Uncle Stripe's family and that relationship gets just sort of unpacked. We kind of know who Muffin is. I think by this point you've already had the episode where she's like staying up late at night, whatever it is, and we know that she just always needs to get what she wants. Extrapolating that out to being, okay, this is the kid who gets this trashy toy, gets to watch the trashy shows. I just think of like the other kids maybe from school, you just kind of like, oh, they actually get to watch that show, and I'm not really, it's an M15 plus show, and I'm, we're all 13. Like their parents think that's fine, all right.
I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons when I was a kid.
Yeah,
same.
ditto.
Because the family values weren't really agreed upon in 1991 by mum and dad when it came to Australia. But when I moved out of home, I got a DVD player and caught the heck up.
I think it really captures that sensibility, and I think we're all resonating on the same sort of thing here. But with the ridiculous, what is it? Cat squat, and just the tinny noise that comes out of that thing. It just speaks volumes. You can just imagine that sitting in a Kmart, Muffin in there throwing a tanty, Trixie just having to buy this thing because she doesn't have the fortitude to withstand.
I didn't notice Stripe bringing it in the first time I watched it, and she comes careening in on this bike, and all the bells and whistles are flashing, and just thought, wow, that's such a muffin. And then at the end, when they're driving home, you can see it in the back, and I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Just the stark contrast between what a muffin toy is and what a Bingo and Bluey toy is.
You already made a reference to The Simpsons, but it's almost like Muffin is Bart and Bingo and Bluey become the Flanders kids. In this episode, they're just so wholesome in comparison. They're playing this lovely library, quiet, sophisticated guy where she's just like wants to watch television and sit on her plastic car thing and just and every single thing she interacts with is kind of obnoxious. Like all the books she has are the noise-making books and all that sort of stuff. Zebras are stripy, which is a great line when she's pressing the different sounds in the book.
What I will say is I love that my perception of those parenting styles is that, I think Muffin's a little bit of a brat. I don't think that's going too far. But what I do love is that they present that in a way that's not really judgmental. Like she's just
behaving
different
based on the information she was given by Dad.
And Dad's behavior.
Yeah.
Essentially. And so when that gets undone and he goes, actually, you're not special. We still love you as mum and dad, but you're not special to everyone. You still got to follow rules. At that point when I first saw it, I'm like,
she takes it so well.
Correct.
As well.
I'm waiting for the meltdown, but you said I was special. And she goes, okay, gives Dad a hug, and then, good news, Bluey, I'm not special anymore. Hooray!
And the way Stripe says it is like really reasonable as well.
Yes.
Like, I said you were so special. You're not really. I mean, you are to us.
Yes,
your mum and I love you more than anything.
Correct.
But maybe, and that's such a great lesson from Stripe. Like, maybe you might not be special to everyone else, and you still have to follow the rules. And she's like, oh, okay. It speaks to the writers of the show where, I won't put anything past these geniuses. Like, so I reckon this was meditated on, but you could, in a lesser show, present the, let's say, more bratty cousin as a bit of a nemesis and someone who's not to be empathized with and not to be understood or even liked as a character. But that's not the way it is, because that's not the way life is. I have friends who are just jerks, but I love them.
Thanks, Brandon. I love you too.
But it just shows that, life, just like Stripe is saying, not everyone's going to see you as special as I see you. You still have to follow the rules. It also goes to show that you're going to meet people in life who might not have the same values, might not have the same patience or good temperament, but that doesn't mean they're any less worthy of being part of the family. I don't know. This is the way. I just love the fact that I like Muffin. I like Muffin as a character, and it would be so easy for a less well-executed show to have me not like Muffin, but Muffin takes it so well, and you're right. She's got the information that she's given, just different parenting styles, but who can really live up to Banda and Chili, really? They're always so ready to play and stuff, and in a point where, I'm not a parent, but I'm not going to be as good as them if I ever get the opportunity.
It's a high bar.
For me, it just deals with this idea of specialness really well. Everybody gets told they're special. It's like, yeah, but you're special to certain people. You still have to be part of society. You still have to.
Yes.
If you want to use the library, you have to respond to its rules, and that's kind of, how the system works.
And that's sort of a metaphor for the play as well. If you want to play with us, it's good to adhere to the
rules.
The rules of the play.
You come in and you make this sort of agreement to what's going to be happening, because otherwise you're not really playing in that structure at all. You're just kind of there.
Can we talk about the library itself for a second? There's such a brilliant use of props.
I knew you'd love the Duda, Marty.
I love the camera. The camera is essentially what looks. Good. I think it's a drink bottle or some sort of cylindrical container with a tennis ball on top. Please look into the camera, and then there's that wonderful angled shot looking at Muffin where she's got this lovely
with
smile
with the fisheye lens.
Yeah,
it's so good, isn't it?
Bluey's voice takes on this really interesting quality whenever she's playing a character who's in a service industry.
Oh, you reckon?
And she just says, just look into the cameras. And she doesn't say sweetie.
Yeah.
But there is another episode, I can't put my finger on it, where she's like, thanks, sweetie, when she's playing like a receptionist or something.
Yes.
It's just so on point. Observationalist genius.
And she refers to Bingo at one point as, I'm sorry, library customer.
Yes, library customer.
And now, customers, it's time to return your books. Please put your books into the book mouth thingy.
Yeah. Kids, there's no rules as to what they're going to observe and what they're going to find interesting about the places they go. And that's what's so special about watching kids engage with the world and how they see things. So what I love about Bluey's idea of this library that I assume she's created because, she's good at running the games like that. She's like, the books are such an afterthought. She's like, this is my computer and this is my desk and this is the camera. We'll get a library card for you. And this is the book dooter that doots the books. And this is the little mouth thingy.
All the details,
and that's everything.
Except the books.
Oh, and the books as well. and that's so good because who didn't love a shoot?
Yeah.
Like a book shoot when we were kids. Yep. I don't know, that I was fascinated by, I guess, only seeing one side of something when I was a kid. So like when you're returning videos at a video store, showing my age, just in the shoot down the thing, or returning books and just like having it disappear down a thing. That was so cool. And I love that there was a book shoot was part of the most important things that Bluey saw about a library.
The mechanics of taking the books out and putting the books back. She's got that little trolley and but there is one detail to the library that I absolutely love. I'm not sure if you guys noticed it. Did you notice that there's a romance section?
Is it? Like with the
notice
rose
this.
So, there's a few books laid up in front of the TV and I swear there's a little post-it note with a little love heart in front of it. And the books just look like they're completely random whatever books. But I just love that idea because there's a couple of different times when the kids are just showing that interest in the idea of adult romance and love. Because it's this different sort of world to them that they don't quite understand. After I saw that, I was like, are there any other labels? There's obviously the sign to tell you not to speak loudly, but I think that's the only place where it's a label. I hope that's what it's meant to be. I don't think it's just a love heart sticker. There's this little post-it note with a love heart. I'm like, in my headcanon, that's what it is, and it's brilliant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of headcanon, where Bluey and Bingo are coming back in to say Muffin's not playing correctly, and they come in partway through a conversation between Chili and Stripe, and Stripes is like, and a couple of weeks later, it's still there. And that's it. That's the only context you have for that. You talk about headcanon, there's a million different options for that.
That was one of the things I wanted to talk about. There's a few different lines in this episode that are really great entry.
Yeah,
because it's the first line, which is like, and that's why I'm going to write a letter to the
toilet fairy. Well, that's the only way something will change.
That's the only way it's going to change. Is and you're like, you've got so many questions, but that's where it ends, which is great.
Yeah.
The other one was, what's the first?
Yeah, because there's two exchanges with Chili and Stripe in the kitchen when they interrupt their conversation.
The first one is Chili's just goes, but you know,
yeah.
Is that an Australian thing? Do Americans or international people look at that and go,
not sure about that.
It's a bit like when Australians go, yeah, but nah.
We definitely have our own brand of doing it. Yeah, nah. Nah, yeah, but nah.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah,
which basically, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, means yes. It's true. It sounds silly, but when we say, yeah, but nah, it means we're saying yes.
I reckon it's whatever you land on? Like, do you want some of these Tim Tams? Yeah, nah. And then, did you go out? Nah, yeah. Like it's, I always take the nah or the nah.
It's the last one, isn't it?
As the final one.
Yes.
It's like the first bit is just buffer while you're arriving at the thought that you want to say. But yeah, those two exchanges with Chili and Stripe in the kitchen, the one that starts with, but yeah, you know, and the other one that starts with, and a few weeks later, it's still there. But both of them, like if I had a best in show, it's got to be Chili and the eyes that she gives. And I saw this episode, I was watching it with my sister, and she pointed something out because it's so awkward when who comes in first? Is it just Bluey comes in,
or Muffin?
It's just Muffin. Yeah, the first time, just Muffin not letting me play, and they both look at each other because they're and Aaron was saying how real life is that.
Which parent is responsible to clean up this mess?
They both know something has to be done, and if what Muffin is saying is true, that they're not letting them play for no good reason, Stripe is kind of like, and the way Aaron put it, the way Aaron put it was like, well, I can't tell off your kid. And so they say, oh, well, you know, and then when they come back in and it's revealed why, do you have any idea why she's not following the rules of the library? Oh, because she says she's the most special thing. And when it dawns on Stripe, and he goes, oh, I'll just be right back. And Chili's eyes that she gives to, is there some of that? I don't want to say judgment of different styles because I'm sure Chili's not as cynical as I am, but there's something.
To me, it's just the realness of the in-laws relationship.
Yes, yeah. That's a much more diplomatic way of putting it.
You see it when he comes in the door. He's like,
it's pretty muddy outside.
And his kids just run across the floor. And he's just like, hey, Chili dog.
Yeah, hey, Chili dog.
I love that. They're just having this like coffee conversation in the kitchen. And he kind of says, there are different ways that, you know, people can play. And I think he gets another set of eyes then because he's kind of telling off. Like for me, it's just the in-laws trying to, who obviously have a good relationship because they're hanging out without the end it being there. They're still family members, but just not quite meshing.
And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I do think so that I don't upset anybody, it's very important for me to continue to check myself and say that I'm not a dad and I've not been through a one iota of the kind of responsibility that mums and dads go through. But I just observe different styles and I feel like I have a picture in my head of what I would like to come to be if I ever am so blessed. But I just want everyone to know that I am so ready to be shot down and reminded that I have no idea what I'm talking about. It's not going to stop me from professing it's not going to stop me from...
Not a lot stops you from professing, mate.
No, it's not going to stop... Professor Henry Jones. No, it's not going to stop me from observing and forming opinions and stuff, but please don't think I ever, for 1 second, think that I know better than anybody else. It's just me working through my observations.
Is it hot in here?
My God.
Well, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like Cat Squad.
Cat Squad.
Stuck in my head for days. I love it.
Samurai pizza cats, anyone?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was thinking that.
This is
Ring a
another
ding
marker
ding.
to show that it is the 1980s in Dog World. And just do you hear what the soundtrack voiceover thing is when the car comes in? Did anybody hear that line?
I watched it.
I
I watched it like twice today, and it's
it's
very like it's so
distorted.
perfectly distorted as those toys are.
It's "We are here for your protection."
Wow.
I think I heard that bit, but there's
another bit.
Is there a bit
for
at the
it,
start?
yeah.
And I just
equally.
it's almost
That'll be forever a mystery.
If anybody knows what it is,
Let us know.
please let us know.
because it's going to be brilliant, whatever it is.
You know who would know what it is? I reckon Edward would know because I reckon Edward would definitely know. My sister Kelly, her youngest Edward. Do you mind if I just ring him?
Yeah, do
all
it.
right, I'll just get him up on the phone.
Hello, Edward speaking.
Edward, how you going, buddy?
Oh, hello, Uncle Granny.
You know that bit in the episode Library where Muffin flies in on the bike and the bike says something, but I can't quite make it out. What is the actual soundbite?
Cat Squad is here. Cat Squad is here. Fear not.
Oh, that
wow.
makes sense.
How good.
That
How
makes
good.
sense. Thanks heaps, buddy.
No problem.
See you on the weekend.
Meow.
We've spoken previously about the use of cats in the Bluey world.
Yeah.
And I was quoted on an earlier episode as saying, I believe cats are like, they're superheroes. They're mythical creatures. They're not real in the Bluey world. This is probably the one that cemented it for me because to me, this is like an Avengers level toy that just kids gravitate towards because it's flashy lights and we're here for your protection and all this sorts of stuff. Samurai Pizza Cats is probably a more apt description than something like Avengers, but it's ridiculous. They're loud. Oh, cats protecting the world. What a crazy joke. Let's put it on a bike. I love it. And after having seen this episode, I didn't realize it, but for days, even weeks afterwards, I was just getting around the house going, meh, 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 meh. Cat Squad. And Ali's like, are you singing Cat Squad? Is that what's happening right now? I was like, yeah.
Maybe.
One thing you learn as a parent really quickly, it's important to be into, maybe not be 100% into, but be a part of what your kids love. And I've experienced that in particular. Bluey is one part, obviously. The other one, big one in our house, is the Wiggles. Now, I've come full circle where you go, oh, okay, Wiggles, yep, it is what it is. To, oh my God, I'm going to kill these 4 coloured fools. I hate them. To all the way back around just going, hey, Jack, it's do the propeller. Let's get on.
Oh,
I
man.
know the actions. If they ever pull me up on stage, I could be the 5th Wiggle. I'll tell you what. That's what you get to, I think, as a parent. We just sit there and go,
propeller. We're not going to get sued, are we? Do the propeller.
Yeah, they're exceedingly litigious, those guys. So let's not. That's the real 5th Wiggle. Their lawyer.
Their lawyer. Their team of expert lawyers.
the
like
black
Mr. Burns.
he's the grey
Guy
Wiggle,
is just
yeah.
in a suit.
Ash grey suit, yeah. And so that's what I feel with Cat Squad. It's just like, yep, just got to be into it. And I've been called Stripe before when we talk about who best represents each of us on this show. I feel like that's what Stripe does. Yep, I'm just going to go with it. The Cat Squad bike is going in the back of the car. Cousins can deal with it because I'm at peace with it now.
Isn't that just such a nice button on the episode as well? The orange light, like
Yes, at the end, yeah.
when he's because yellow lights are supposed to be stop if it's safe. You should only continue if it would be unsafe to stop. And so I must admit, sometimes if if I see
Are
it
you
going
special, Brendan?
and I know I can make it, and also if I'm in my troop carrier and it's like 2.5 ton of car and it's been raining, like that might not have the same braking power as your Hyundai gets. But no, when I'm in the Yaris, I do. I make, especially if there's someone behind me who's being a jerk, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to stop and ruin your day because you shouldn't be that close. And then they get all fired up. I'm like, yeah, it was safe to stop, so I did. Sucked in. But no, anyway, what was my point? Oh, yeah, it's such a nice
Following
button on
the
the
rules.
episode.
Rules,
Like,
yeah.
not special. Everyone has rules. We're all in this together. And nice one, Dad.
Yeah.
And even this entire episode, Muffin gets around with a tiara on her head.
Oh,
And
so
at the
good.
start, you just go, "Oh, she's wearing a tiara," but then you go, "Oh, that
Of
takes
course she's
takes on
wearing a
extra
tiara.
meaning when
Foreshadowing,
you see, foreshadowing what is to come in her
Thanks,
behavior."
Princess.
Yeah, that's it. That
Yeah.
last line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, one thing I have to mention is after Muffin swallows the little soft toy with the book, From that point on in the episode, the toy is like bandaged up. It's got
Yes,
bandage over
you're
its
right.
eyes.
It's Poppy as well, so it's like Bingo's specific toy.
Yes, of course.
But you did just remind me of one other moment we have to mention, which is, Muffin's been able to play the way she wants, and she's had all the books to the library, and you have the really depressing story circle where you don't have the very good book. It's just everything that happens when people don't break it. Anyway.
Let's just say the toddler circle where, there's no books because Mother's borrowed all of them. Sorry, you go on.
Bluey finally cracks it. You're not playing library if you don't return your books. She closes the musical book beforehand, and then the response from Muffin is there's this pause, and she just opens the book again. They stare at one another down, and that's her response.
Yeah,
the verbal
so
one.
good. There's no change in her steely-eyed expression.
Yeah, that's it. It's just like, nah, I can do what I want.
You're right. That moment just before when Bluey's just like, that's it. You can do this. You can do this, and you can do that's. She's such a good kid, but you return library books,
And she's right. You've lost the whole point of the game type thing.
and there's just something so I bet nerds across the viewership of this show would unite in that sentiment. No. There's the monarchy, there's religion, and there's the library.
Yeah, I don't like that characterization because that's probably me. No, I am a profound lover of libraries and the concept of libraries.
Yeah.
I borrow a lot of stuff from libraries.
Oh man, why would you not?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's just a really nice social space, and it's increasingly, there's some great other podcasts out there that talk about. I think it was like This American Life had a great episode about libraries becoming the third space in like society and people's lives, and because they probably chose the library because it's got these different rules, and you get to have the fantastic shushing as part of the
Do you
story.
think the library would take me back if I used a fake name?
Have you returned your books though, Brendan?
Oh, good work, Muffin. Brendan rides off on his Cat Squad motorcycle and goes through the yellow light. And just off he goes.
Into the sunset, just like Last Crusade. Well, as any good archaeologist like Bandit would know, you want to be a good archaeologist, you gotta get out of the library. I should have used that much shorter quote at the start.
Why did you do that at the start?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
That's from the fourth one.
Oof.
Yeah.
Which is not a film.
There is no fourth one. There is no fourth one.
This is controversial, but I have fun watching the fourth one. I think Harrison Ford, all of his stuff is awesome. You don't know him. You don't know it. When he's on the things in the roof in Area 51 in the beginning, it's and Marion Ravenwood, Karen Allen. My heart belongs to that woman. She is everything. And the fact that they get married, it's nice. It's nice. I like, because, okay, the chronology of those movies is like Temple of Doom actually occurs before Raiders.
Brendan?
Hello?
Basket.
Okay.
Go to your basket, Brendan.
Before I go to my basket, I will just say that the chronology of those movies allows you to believe that he got back with Marion after Willie Scott. Now, Steven Spielberg, you can keep Kate Capshaw. I'm sure, I hope you guys are very happy, but there is one indie chick. I mean, Elsa Schneider, she's great, but she's kind of a Nazi. There's one indie chick, Marion Ravenwood, forever. I'll go to my basket, and the rest of you guys, after I say thank you for joining us. Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome, buddy.
Thanks, Marty.
Yeah, no problems.
And I believe they sell baskets right next to the pizza ovens. Aisle 300.
Left at the fake grass.
If you hit a flamingo, you've gone too far.
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Reese, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.